Oh, we were supposed to talk about in the groups. Search inside yourself and our spring break. How it relates to spring break. What I got a lot was like knowing your emotions. It's basically repetitive, like knowing your emotions, how to put them aside, and then like deal with the situation. So my spring break was really uneventful. I was home in New Jersey, and the only thing I could think of was like sometimes my mom and I were very, very similar. But like I know how to let things go, and like kind of she doesn't. So I have to kind of like realize that, and not like be the better person, because like not saying she's like in the wrong for something, but a lot of times I have to realize like put my emotions aside, like deal with the situation, and sometimes you have to like pick and choose your battles. So if like it's not worth it, I'm just not gonna argue about it with her. And if it's like, and that happened a lot during break, like she would like mention something, and if I just didn't feel like arguing about it, I would just be like, I'm not gonna argue about this, because sometimes it's like pick and choose what you feel strongly about that you need to argue about, and sometimes there's no point. But I didn't really have any like spring break like stories or anything. It was very just chill. Did anyone go anywhere or anything?
Nope. I stayed home in the city.
Me and my boys went to a few clubs.
Didn't you go to Cali?
Nah, more I couldn't.
So what happened?
I just basically said I have the ticket. I can use the ticket for a whole year. So
Oh,
basically
okay.
I have up to next year, February.
Okay.
But if I have a flight, I'm gonna go there. But anyways, so I went home, spent some time with my family and friends. Went to the casino, went to a few clubs. Yesterday was my boy's birthday, so we went to the strip club for the last day, and then got drunk on my pops a little bit for a kickback. And
how does that apply to search inside yourself? How does that apply to search inside yourself?
I'm just saying, I'm just talking about my brain.
Well, like, were there any instances where, like, I don't know, like you could have been in like a sticky situation and like you could have handled it better, or you did handle it well because you were able to put your emotions into perspective and deal with the situation, or was someone irritating you and you were able to, you know?
Well, yeah, actually, my boy, like he gets really annoying at times when there's a lot of people around. So
Your friend from here?
No,
Oh.
from back home.
Okay,
So like there's how he acts stupid, and there's times like I would have to tell him like, look, it's a time to play, time to be serious. Like now you're wild, like calm down. But he wouldn't listen. So there's like I had to really pull myself away from that, because I feel like if I didn't separate myself, like it'd have been ugly. So I feel like that's one thing. Basically.
Have you guys ever been in like team or like organizations or something where you wanted something to change? Because a lot class today we talked about like being an organization where like how to initiate change effectively. So like you read about Gary and how he like basically wanted the time changed for the meetings because he had to like be home for the babysitter or whatever, and in the end he didn't get exactly what he wanted, but he like, you know, it benefited him because they didn't change the time, but they allowed some people to phone in for the meetings instead of being physically there.
Right.
So, and I mentioned in class, so like I'm in NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, on campus, and it's primarily a Newhouse. It's a Newhouse run organization, but there are primarily Newhouse students in it, and Newhouse students are usually on executive board. But when I came in it when I was a freshman, like there were some people from different schools, but I really wanted to like set the mold for like how you didn't have to just be a Newhouse student to like want to be in a journalism organization. So like it took some time, and like they said in the book, it's not going to happen like that. So like now I'm on the executive board for our org, but like it's not like it was easy. It like took some convincing other people that I was just as smart as a Newhouse student and stuff like that. So that was just kind of like my thing with trying to get change in the organization.
I'm part of La Voz, which is like the Latina Latino run or like magazine on campus.
Yeah.
And like I was abroad last semester, so I wasn't like really involved with it. And last semester was when the whole scandal thing happened with like them putting out the Ratchet. I don't know if you guys heard about that. The
Yeah.
Ratchet
Are you
article.
is Veronica in it?
Maybe now.
Okay.
I'm just a writer now for them. But before I was on the e-board last year. But when the whole like the e-board, most of the e-board went abroad together. That was e-board last year. So when the article came out last semester with the whole Ratchet thing and like everyone shitting on Levels for basically like a lot of Latinos on campus were saying that like Levels, they did a bad job of showing what our culture is like and like
They never
showing that we're a
did.
stereotype. And then like the Black community was offended that in one of the articles they said like being ratchet is known for being a Black trait,
Mhm.
basically. So everyone was really offended by a lot of it, and like when it came out, there was a whole controversy between like because there was a lot of really good stuff in the article.
Yeah.
There was just that one comment in one article that one person wrote that should have been obviously not put in the magazine.
So or some people I remember felt some type of way because like they didn't read the whole article, but they would just see like the title and they'd be like, oh,
if you read the editor's letter, and you read it, you'd be like, oh, this is popping, like this makes sense because it's like about our generation and the downfall of our generation, and they were kind of like making fun of the downfall of our generation, like things that interest us that shouldn't interest us anymore, but like the reason why we're going to read this is because this is what we're interested in. That we're kind of poking fun at it, how we should be better, and nobody read the editor to like to the fans or whatever. So they didn't understand that when reading the article. They just took straight offense to it. But then people went back and read and then understood it. So like the e-board, when we were abroad, the e-board from last year, we were all like, oh crap, like what's going on? Because it was like midnight when when La Voz came out here, it was like 6 p.m. But it was midnight in Madrid already.
Right.
So it was like a whole controversy on Twitter and stuff like that. So us being like us needing to come back to make a change, like because the e-board still wanted to be the e-board when we came back from abroad. So the transition between that and what La Voz is supposed to be now is like a transition for being changed. So like me personally, from my part of it is like I don't want to be a part of something that's gonna like be a negative. It's gonna stigmatize people, like our community, to be negative. So getting the transition between the old e-board and the new e-board, and
was
getting
there
the
any
new
tension when you guys were abroad and then
I mean, I support Angie, who's the editor-in-chief, because I know her really well, and I know what their intentions were, and I know the people who are on e-board now. I know most of them, so I respect a lot of them, but it's the transition between the old e-board and the new e-board, and the old e-board trying to like still be a part of it, because we were still kind of a part of it when we were abroad. The only reason why we weren't is because we weren't physically there.
Yeah.
And so it's like the new e-board just kind of like, you weren't here last semester, so you don't know what's going on. So to make those changes as an old e-board when there's already a new e-board, and there's that transition has been hard.
Yeah. I believe it. That's hard. I remember when that happened. Because I don't know if she was on the e-board, but my friend Veronica, she's in the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, and I remember her coming to me, she was like, did you see La Voz? And I was like, no. She was like, girl, like, look at this, like, blah, blah. And she's like,
yeah, they had to take back
yeah,
all the La Voz articles that were still, the, like, issues that were still on campus because of it. And, like,
I think the idea was awesome. I mean, like the whole, like...
The only thing that pisses me off is that, that one article when they claimed it to be a Black trait, that's not okay to say. I understood that.
Yeah.
But everything else in the article was 100% true. Like 100% true. And then the girl who wrote about it in the Daily Orange and shit on it, like I have seen you twerking in a South party, so don't tell me that.
A lot of times, if we've had like an NABJ, we've had just like tough times with the DO, because sometimes like they want to like say like, oh, this Black event, like you never said that, like you couldn't, like it was just like a Black event, like they just make things out to be like
a color thing,
and like
Panhill, when they say that Panhill sororities are white sororities, No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're predominantly white girls are in it. They're
Mhm.
not white. Like you can be something else and not.
Right.
And like NPHC, they're multicultural, and they are predominantly black, but it's not a black thing.
Right. I think the difference people don't realize is like, you know, when you're talking like conversation, I can be like, yeah, like one of the black rats, because honestly, like that's how people like see it. But if in a publication, that's professionalism. You should never.
Yeah.
You should know how to word things. That's part of journalism. You're not
An
supposed
NPHC
to.
party, not a black party.
Exactly. It's just like that's what just bothers us, and a lot of times it bothers us in like NABJ because they just want to be like, oh, this black org, and we're like, okay, like we celebrate the accomplishments of like African American journalists, but we've also brought Hispanic journalists. We've also like other people. It's not just like it's a black thing. Like it's just like weird the way people phrase
It's
it.
crazy how people categorize stuff like that.
So annoying. But any football stories about like how you wanted something? I know there has to be how you like wanted something changed, but it
Yeah,
was
like mom said, like in class, how she said she hates the way the staff, mistreats their players.
Mhm.
So it's like there's things like this, like we don't have a break. We don't have a break. Wake up early and straight football. After class, straight football. We don't have time for ourselves. So that's one thing we always wanted to change. Find a way to change it because it's not fair. Because other people, they at least have time to study. At least they have time for themselves to be themselves. But
And you're supposed to be student athletes. You're not supposed to be athlete students.
exactly. So like we don't really have time like most students have where they can just fall back and just study and actually prepare themselves. So that's one thing that we've been trying to change. But like Graham said, like once they've had their mindset set on something, it doesn't matter. So that's one thing we're still trying to change. But
That was crazy when she was talking about how like they'll like, or even John was saying how they're like, will say, oh, you guys are supposed to only practice for like X amount of hours or
Yeah.
something.
and
So they'll be like, oh, there's like a meeting, like we'll have a team meeting, but
Yeah.
and it's just supposed to be like a meeting, like I can like dress like that, like meeting or
Right.
whatever you guys wear, and then they'll turn into like a practice.
yeah, like they basically fuck with our minds because like they're basically the hierarchy. Whatever they say goes. So like we can't say nothing to them. So when they hit us up on the text like we have a team meeting, everybody's just there ready for a meeting. You know, all right, we got a meeting. After the meeting, we just go home, study. And then they will switch like after the meeting and be like, well, get ready. We have a walkthrough practice.
Yeah,
And it's something that we don't even know. They just instantly just change their mind.
yeah, that's
So that
crazy.
sucks. So that's something
That's annoying.
it is
Yeah.
very annoying.
That's why my mom always says that. She's like, because my brothers play football, so she's always like, you're supposed to be student athletes, not athlete students. Like, school comes first, but they never teach you that. Like,
No, it's true because especially in college, the coach have to sell that persona right there. You know,
right.
I'm a coach. You know that's worried about my athletes being students first. But deep inside, they're not really. It's not student athlete. You're an athlete 1st.
Mm-hmm.
To some coaches, they're athlete first,
Mm-hmm.
then a student. I mean, it depends on the coach. Because some coaches,
So, like, if there was any way to, like, change something like that, like, would you? Or would you, like, know how to, like, go about that?
of course, we would want to change that. But like, the way it's looking, I don't know how. At this
Yeah,
point.
it's tough because you don't want to,
Yeah.
like, go up to a coach and be like, we need to be doing this instead of practice. They'll be like, oh, you don't want it? Like,
Exactly.
you don't, like, that's a tough
And that's
situation.
especially guys, we have a lot of pride. So when a coach say that to us, we get that pride. Like no, so like
Right.
we
Like, of course I
understand.
want to practice. Of course I want to get better, but it's like, yeah, no, you're
It's
So,
just
yeah.
crazy.
Well, you're missing 2 people, so that would normally take up some more time. I can't really think of anything else, like, to change. That you would need. Like, I don't really know. I think when I was, well, they did change this because a lot of people, like I used to be a counselor for a sleepaway camp, and like the way the camp worked was you were able to, you were a camper until you were 15, and then when you're 16, you're a counselor. But that would be very hard because when I remember when I turned 16, I was a counselor. Like the kids, like they were still like my friends. And so, and a lot of them, even if they weren't, they wouldn't want to listen to me because they'd be like, oh, like, you're basically our age. Like, why would we listen to you, blah, blah. So then, like, a lot of other counselors, like, had that concern. And so they went up to, like, our head guy and they were like, listen, Jim, like, you're going to have to do, like, something where there's, like, something in between. You can't just jump from camper to counselor because it's just, like, too much tension and, like, they don't listen to us and, like, blah, blah. So then we made something called like the LIT program, which is Leaders in Training, and it's basically like learning how to be a leader and be a counselor.
Mhm.
So like you would be like 15 years old, you went, that'd be your last year as a camper, and then when you're 16, you do this program where you'd still be able to go to camp, and you would still kind of be a counselor, but it would more be like leadership training and like other stuff. And then when you were 17, you were like an official counselor. So like that helped because like it just the age gap was just, I mean, the lack of age gap was not good, but that was one thing we got changed. Wasn't that big of a deal, but that was an example. But okay. Well, I think since it's 3 of us, we can.
I think the only change that I basically had my mind set on and actually happened was my studying habits. Because I used to always say, yo, you know, fuck this, I'm gonna study. When it's time to study, I would never study. Like I would just be chill, kick back, watch a sign, eat some food. But now it got to the point that I realized what I want. You know what I mean? And once you know what you want, you go for that. So I realized, you know, I gotta get good grades.
You know what they're talking about in the book. That change doesn't just happen. It's
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes change
I think
takes
a lot
time.
of people.
21 days to break a habit, to make a habit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
People, I think like, that's why I think I get irritated with some people because they expect everything to be like a short route. Like, like I get annoyed when I hear people being like, "Oh, I'm gonna make this money. I'm gonna make this money." I'm like, okay, that's great, but then when I don't see you doing anything, like that's just like it's like not like irritating for me because it's not like it affects me, but it's like you're not helping yourself.
That's how I am with my siblings. My siblings, they're always complaining about how hard their lives are and how they have to struggle and do this and do that. But like
yours, just
they
as big,
don't,
you're struggling.
yeah, they don't do shit. And like me and my brother, we bump heads so much because he just doesn't. He doesn't work hard for what he wants and like expects the world to come to him.
Mm-hmm.
And like the other day, he was in my house like complaining about how he's broke, like he has no money and he's struggling like with his job, and his job isn't doing well. Like he just started. Him and his friends opened up a pizzeria in Brooklyn, and like it's not doing well because first of all, there was a pizzeria there before that closed down because they weren't getting good business. So you opened up another pizzeria in the same spot, like that's not even logical. But so he's been like really struggling at work. They're not doing well, and he's complaining about it, but about how he has no money. But then like he's gone out like every night this week. I see him putting up pictures on Instagram, like in bars and shit. Like you're spending money that you don't have for what?
Yeah.
To like prove something to people. Prove like if you're obviously struggling, then you should be at home like chilling.
Right.
Like
that's why I didn't
working
go on
on
spring
something.
break. Like
Yeah, working on something that's gonna get you more money or gonna put you in a better place, like with work.
right.
So like that, like no one's gonna change your life but you.
That's like a really like huge thing that my mom instilled in me, like both my parents for like ever, like because like struggling with my weight and stuff. My mom was all about like tough love, and she like hates complaining. So like she like hearing me just like I used to be really just like down on myself and would like cry about how I wanted to lose weight. And I grew up in an area where like all the girls were like zeros, like super tiny. So like naturally I thought it was huge. So my mom would be like, okay, like stop crying about it, like go to the gym, or like stop. She'll like see like a Wendy's bag in my garbage can. She'll be like, stop eating Wendy's, like you're doing it to yourself. Like stop complaining, get up, and like go do something about it. But like, and that used to piss me off. But like, now she's so right, and like I want to say that to like half the people. Like I have this one friend who does that all the time. She's like, I'm so fat, I'm so fat, I'm so fat. And I'm like, okay, like let's go to the gym, or like let's you don't have to do that. Like let's go on a walk. Like let's do something. Like whatever. Like and she'll just be like, nah. Like whatever. Like no. I can't. I'm not about that. Like and just continue her bad habits. And I'm like, well, no offense. Like don't complain to me because other people are trying to help you, and you got to be able to want to help yourself, and you're just not doing anything about it. So I don't know. I mean, it's tougher for others, but I just, don't my just point of view on not everything, but a lot of things in life is like, don't complain, get work done. Like, my dad, like, he used to always say, like, I'm always like, oh, I'm just like, I'm broke, I can't, like, buy something, blah, blah. My dad's like, well, that's because you don't have a job, and, like, we're not giving you money because you have to learn how to work for it. And, like, my dad always be like, back in my day, like, I was running around the streets of Brooklyn. Like, I would go to the grocery store and just, like, wait outside. And if I saw an old lady, like, carrying bags that was too hard for her to carry, I'd be like, man, like, I'll carry your bags for, like, $1. And she would get, like, I would just get, like, spell like 20 books like a day, and I would just keep doing that, like help people carry their bags, blah blah. It's like, okay, sweet. Point being, like whatever you could do, like work for it. He tells me the story all the time. But it's just funny. I don't know. But yeah. I taught my mom how to meditate. Not like really taught her, but I was trying to convince her that she should take up meditation.
My dad started meditating. It's really funny to
Really?
watch him. He does in the morning. He does this thing. It's like when you lift weights and you meditate, but he does like the 2-pound weight. And like he sits in his chair in like silence in the living room. And he is meditating, but it is really funny because he's like, my dad. He's 63, but he looks like 45. But just has a lot of gray hair. So he sits there and he stares at a wall and lifts these lime green 2-pound weights, and it's hilarious. And it's just really funny. I wish you guys could meet my dad.
abs.
I wish my dad did it like that.
He's for the TV. He's like doing this thing. I'm just like, what are you doing?
No, but we were all talking about meditation, and my aunt did some program. She has what's it called? She's bipolar, but it's Tourette's or something. She gets it. She has a tic now, and so she does this. She went to some facility that was supposed to help her, and she came back with all these meditation techniques, and was trying to teach them to my dad. And that's the thing. They're old. They have nothing better to do but sit around and talk to each other about nothing. Meditation. But it was really cool. And my dad, I told my dad that he doesn't need to do it with the weights. He could do it without. But he's like that. It calms him. It calms the rest of his body. That one thing's in motion. And I was like, okay. Learn the technique. He has it's exercise on demand. But there's the yoga portion, when you go to the exercise on demand, and part of it is breathing meditation, sitting meditation.
Oh,
but it's someone else is on the TV.
Yeah.
So I'm how do you?
Yeah.
What is the point of that? I don't know.
I tried teaching my mom because she's just my mom doesn't sit still. She's gets up every morning at 4:35, goes to the gym. Comes home, gets ready, goes to work, and then she has meetings, and because she's part of 10 different organizations, she's vice president, blah blah blah, and she does all this stuff. And I was like, why don't you just take 5 minutes every day and meditate? And at first, when you tell somebody that, they're kind of what? No, that's for whatever. And I'm like, no, it'll help, blah blah. So I told her I don't have a bell and all that stuff, but I told her I was just sit straight up and pretend a string is pulling your head up. And I was telling her something else, focus on your out breath. And she was okay, but she felt better, and I was
I started doing that when I can't sleep. Focus
Yeah.
on your out breath when I'm laying. And I lay really still and try to make my whole body calm. It makes me uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah, I'm just
I want to be able to sleep like that.
I have restless leg syndrome.
yeah.
So after my body's calm, I have to get up and walk around.
Yeah.
So it defeats the purpose. But I've been trying.
Well, just switch to a different position. I can't.
I move around
That's
a
why
lot.
I can't sleep with people. So I'm just move. I need to be on my own, whatever. But we're gonna cut this meeting in half since we have half of our group here.
How long did we talk?